Hey guys, how you doing this morning? This video is a response to G4T's video, Why I Stopped Looking for a Job. Now, whenever I think of the difference between jobs and work, and yeah, I've had a lot of people tell me, get a job, well, okay, whatever. When I think of work, productive work versus a job, I always go back to the book Virtue of Selfishness by Ayn Rand. In the book, she basically discusses the virtue of productiveness and the virtue of productive work. Now, productive work, she says, is the road of man's unlimited achievement and call upon the highest attributes of his character. His creative ability, his ambitiousness, his self-assertiveness, his refusal to bear uncontested disasters, his dedication to the goal of reshaping the earth in the image of his values. Now, I think there's some very important distinctions right there. Every job that I've ever had, I was living somebody else's virtues. I was living somebody else's values. And I simply got to the point in all of them where I could not do it, where there was always a clash between my values and their values. And a lot of people, I could tell you lots of stories about different jobs that I had. Some were just so repetitively boring, which I will also put a video link to a video on boredom that is done by the channel Vsauce. You should also check that one out too. Because basically what boredom is the mind saying, hey, we're capable of something more than this, better than this, etc. In fact, I would wager that a lot of what we have in society and civilization is simply because people got bored with the way things were. And that's understandable. Now, as far as a job, as far as versus making money, repetitive tasks at a job, these days, you have people who are PhDs working at places like McDonald's. And these places, these $8 an hour jobs are turning away perfectly qualified people because they're overqualified, or because, they're not, crossing the T or dotting the I the exact way that they want. And I think that's a lot of it. These $8 an hour jobs are running background checks, credit checks, fingerprint. The list goes on and on, to where they want somebody who is super qualified, overqualified. I'll give you an example. Police departments, right, will not hire people above a certain IQ because they know that those police will get bored. It's just like with a job. If you're hiring somebody who has a master's degree to flip burgers, they're going to get bored pretty quick. And also, you have to look at the management. Management does not want to hire somebody more qualified than themselves, because then they could be out of a job. And this is the reality. I've seen it in fast food places, convenience stores, all kinds of places that I've worked, where the management really resents people who are as intelligent as they are, or who can solve a problem better than they can. It's the old joke of, you have some CEO say to his assistant, find me the smartest, most capable man in the company who could run this company as good as I can, or better. The assistant runs off and says, sir, I found him. He's so-and-so. Now what do you want me to do? And the CEO looks at the assistant and says, fire him. There's a lot of truth to that, and that's the reality of it. Now, as far as what you can do for survival nowadays, that's a different ball of wax. Because first of all, you have to admit to yourself the fact that jobs, they're not really worth it. Working for yourself, on the other hand, that's really where it's at. I look at somebody like George. He's not working a traditional job, but he is working. He's taking part in productive work of raising his children and spreading awareness on YouTube. Those are two things which, while they might not give him a weekly paycheck, they're investments in his future. That's just the reality of it. Whereas somebody might want instant gratification and security of a bi-weekly paycheck or whatever, because they want that safety and that security of a job. Somebody like George, of course, George, you are investing in the future, and it's going to pay in the long run, 15, 20 years down the road. So yeah, that's kind of how I feel about it. As far as making money, though, you got to be able to work for yourself. You've got to be able to be an entrepreneur. And I mean, really, that's kind of what it's about. The thing of it is, in this country, the people who are succeeding are the people who are giving up their jobs and becoming entrepreneurs. They're getting interested in fields that they were not interested in before. They are recreating their own lives. Because people my age, I'm close to 40, where we are becoming entrepreneurs. We're becoming entrepreneurs just like, the 20-year-old kids nowadays are. Because a lot of us see the writing on the wall. We see that, hey, those jobs that you're training in college for aren't going to be there. There's a lot of jobs that are just being outsourced. So unless you want to learn Mandarin and move to China, you're just not going to have that job. That's the reality of it. I could go into the educational system about how that's outdated as well. But part of productive work is training your own mind, learning what you need to do in order to adapt the environment to fit your needs. And that's really what we need to do, because again, there's two classes of people in our society. Ones who they're desperately waiting for somebody else to give them a paycheck, to give them approval, to give them things that they should in reality be providing for themselves. And then, of course, there's the second class of people who are the entrepreneurs, the learners, the people who are saying, what more is there to learn? What more can I do? How do I network? How do I socialize? How do I use this new technology in order to succeed? And I think that a lot of, despite the fact that there's so much government regulation, I really think in the next decade, you're really going to see the rise of the entrepreneur. And this is going to be, it could be a hard struggle considering all the government regulation. But at the same time, there were so many entrepreneurs and business people who came out of the Great Depression. I mean, there were millionaires coming out of the Great Depression because they took part in productive work and never stopped learning. Now, if somebody decides that they want to shut off their brain, work at a McDonald's or somewhere, and they want the comfort and security of a paycheck, okay, that's their thing. But at the same time, we have to understand that not everybody wants or needs that safe environment. Some of us, like George for title, for example, have far more to offer society than 40 hours a week at some job, and I can say the same for myself. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. Have a great day, everybody.